Welcome to the Right Hand Roadmap, the podcast for seconds in command of founder-led companies. I'm your host, Megan Long, owner of Second First. In each episode, we show you the path to success on your journey as the #2 leader in entrepreneurial companies. I am so happy you are here. Today, we're diving into a topic that might hit close to home for many of you. It's a feeling that's really hard to articulate, but I know you felt it. You're running day-to-day operations, making critical decisions. You're leading all hands meetings, managing teams, driving results. You are showing up every single day in every single way, yet somehow you don't actually feel seen. And there's two sides to this. First is the recognition. You don't feel seen for the work you're actually doing. And second, you don't feel seen in a way like anyone actually knows you, the real you. So let's talk about why these happen, why it probably matters more than you think, and most importantly, what you can do about it. So let's chat about the first one, the paradox of having an essential but sometimes invisible role. Here's the thing about being a second in command. You're often most successful when things run so smoothly that your contribution becomes invisible. When systems work, when teams are aligned, when crises are actually prevented, that's you doing your job well. But it also means that your impact can be nearly impossible to quantify or see. I find there are 3 reasons. First, you're often the glue holding things together. Glue is essential, but it is not celebrated. EOS calls it the integrator. Scaling Up calls it the orchestrator. Like, think of this orchestra conductor, right? So you're facilitating, you're coordinating, you're translating between departments. You're making sure sales and delivery don't kill each other. You're making sure marketing doesn't get too untethered from reality. You're preventing problems that would have been disasters. But prevention doesn't get the same recognition as solving something that's visible. Second, and this is a big one, your wins often get attributed to others. And that's honestly by design. That's how you develop your team. That's how you increase employee satisfaction and retention. When the sales team hits their numbers, they get the credit. When a product launch goes smoothly, that team gets the kudos. You enabled those wins, you gave direction and advice through those wins, and maybe even designed those wins, but you're not the face of them. And third, founders often struggle to articulate your value. They know they need you. They know that you're critical to the business. But if someone asks them, hey, what does your COO do? Or what does your integrator or second in command or whatever do? They might fumble. Okay, if I was given $10,000 to place a bet, and I'm not a gambler at all, but if I was given $10,000 to place a bet, I would bet the entire $10,000 that less than 5% of you listening have regular annual reviews with your CEO. And that's part of it, knowing that the entrepreneur relies on you and values you without really hearing it explicitly recognized. But here's what makes this even more complicated. It's not just that people don't see your work contributions. Sometimes it feels like no one at the company actually knows who you are as a person, what you bring to the table beyond your title, or what you're truly capable of. You may know everyone's birthdays, get them little surprises, ask how their kids are, but it's not often reciprocated, especially by your CEO. You probably know every single detail of their lives, and they may only know a sliver of yours. To be fair, you're also probably not the most approachable person or always busy as hell, so no one wants to interrupt you. But all of this creates a strange kind of loneliness. You're surrounded by people all day, but you feel like you're wearing a mask, or that the real you is invisible. You're not seen. So why does this matter? This isn't just about ego or validation, even though your feelings are totally valid. When you consistently feel unseen, it impacts your performance. You start second guessing your decisions. You might start over communicating to prove your value, which can come across as insecure or even a little annoying to the CEO. Gosh, I had one leader where the more anxious he felt, the longer and longer his communication got, which frustrated the CEO more and more, which then just caused more anxiety. It was this awful cycle to watch. You also might pull back from strategic thinking because you're so focused on getting some credit for tactical work. Someone I coached felt a little shaky or uncertain in his COO role, so he kept diving into tactical work. It was something tangible that he could show that he checked off, very individual producer mindset. The entrepreneur was getting frustrated because he wanted this COO to elevate. So it was another painful cycle. So I have seen really talented leaders burn out, not from the workload, but from this emotional exhaustion of feeling like they have to constantly prove their worth. So here are 3 strategies that worked for me and have worked for the leaders that I coach. First is work out loud. So start keeping a simple record of decisions you make and problems you solve. I'm not talking about a detailed diary. I'm not talking about a time log, but just a running quick list. So renegotiated vendor terms, saving $1,200 a month. Or restructured team meetings, improved project delivery timelines by 1 week. So what you did or what decision you make, and then basically what the positive impact was from that. I'm assuming most of you have regular one-on-ones with your CEO, preferably weekly. In that agenda, begin with these headlines. So headlines from the last week in the categories of the team, the company, and your clients or customers. And then at the end of your one-on-one agenda, so to wrap things up, have the top 3 things you plan on working on the upcoming week. So this is under the guise of to confirm your priorities with your CEO, but both of these allow you to tell your CEO exactly what you're doing and the value of your work. So this is working out loud. Second is think out loud. Okay, so we covered work out loud. Now we're thinking out loud. One of your superpowers is seeing how everything connects. So you can see that high level big picture, but then you can also see how everything in the weeds connects up to that. But that thinking often happens in our heads. So you're going to start voicing it. In meetings, start saying things like, hey, before we decide on this, let me walk through how this impacts the buyer's journey. Or I want to make sure we're considering the effects of ... It's going to feel a little weird and performative at first, but I guarantee that you will start to notice everyone is locked in on you because you have a very important point of view that they want to hear. When I was hired, I was brought on because I was a CPA. So all of my thinking was filtered through a financial lens. It took 6 months of me sitting at the senior leadership team meeting before my CEO came into my office and said, hey, don't be afraid to speak up in there. Like, I want to know your opinions. And I didn't even realize that I had just been silent in those meetings. I was processing, I was absorbing. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just kind of lock that away and talk to him about it later or something. So don't assume that people see the connections you're making. Make your thinking audible. So think out loud. And then third, and this one's more mental than anything, but create a personal value statement. So stop waiting for your entrepreneur to perfectly articulate your value or describe your role. You need to be able to clearly explain what you do and why it matters. So think of this like your personal elevator pitch or like a mission statement for your role. So something like I focus on operational excellence and strategic execution. I make sure our systems can scale with our growth and that our teams have what they need to hit their goals consistently. Or I prioritize projects our company pursues to ensure we hit our long-term valuation goals. I don't know, guys, I'm just spitballing, like these are awful. But just like a one sentence mission statement that clearly communicates your value. And that is something that you can hang on to. So on weeks where you're like, man, I don't really know what I did this week, you can at least look to the bigger picture mission of your role. So here's a mindset shift that helped me. Some of your best work will always be invisible. And that is actually a form of your power. You see around corners, you prevent disasters, you create conditions for others to succeed. You remove obstacles, you provide resources. That's not lesser work, that is all foundational work. The goal isn't to make every single thing you do visible, it's the impact you have on the business. Another game changer is to find peers. The most common thing we hear in the Second First membership is that there is this loneliness to your role, and it's a gift to surround yourself with other professionals who get it. To find show notes and links for anything mentioned in this episode, visit secondfirst.com/55. Be sure to subscribe to catch future episodes and leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, you don't have to navigate being a second in command alone when you have the right-hand roadmap.